The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
There'll be spectacle, there'll be fantasy, there'll be daring do and stuff like you would never see.
Be a movie, yeah, we're gonna be a movie,
Starring everybody
and me. There'll be heroes bold, there'll be comedy, and a lot of fuss that ends for us real happily. Be a movie, we can watch it all develop, starring everybody
and me. We'll take the world and set it on its ear.
Come on, join in. We're gonna start right here.
And we are going to start right here. Hello, you are listening to a Radulich and Broadcasting premiere podcast triple feature. This is my third triple feature this week. This is the last of 10 movies I had to watch to prepare for this week of podcasts. I may have overdone it. However, I am still your host, the mandated reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified, Mr. Mark Radulich. And oh my God, joining us here on the podcast once again is the man himself. He and Jesse Starcher like to play strip snap. Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, good to his mother, Evan Bevins. How do you do, sir?
Doing all right, Mark. How are you doing?
Conjuring up scenarios where you and Jesse play snap, and like every time one of you loses has to take off a piece of clothing. This is what I tell people about you, Evan Bevins.
Oh, well, good. That would explain some of the messages in my inbox lately.
Like, where's your OnlyFans? So let me tell you, it's been a fun week of podcasts. You know, I talked about the Green Lantern one earlier in the week, which was literally Dorian Price saying, "Hey, I have a friend who really likes the show, and him and I argue about Green Lantern. Can we come on and do it live?" Sure. We occasionally, over the years, a lot of my podcasts have been like, well, what's in theaters right now, and what relates to this. But lately, I've been kind of getting back to, I don't know, just want to talk about movies with my friends, and whatever stupid theme we come up with is what we're gonna do. And
wait, are you talking for Garner stupid?
Hang on. So Evan and I were in the chat one day, and Evan's my comic stripped guy. He likes to do the strip snap, but he also likes to do the comic stripped. And it's gonna beat that into the ground. Yes, sir. Here we go. It's happening. We were in the chat one day. We were talking about like different comic strips that we could do. For those of you who don't know, Comic Stripped is the podcast where Evan and I look at comic book adaptations. We look at the original book, and then we look at whatever movie or television show it was adapted to. And I don't remember exactly how we landed on this particular triple feature, other than the fact that you and I have been kicking around a review of Elektra for a little while now. We kept wanting to talk about it, and then like you'd always pick me like really weird ones. Like, okay, Elektra, Daredevil, and something else. I'm like, we've already done Daredevil. Okay, what about Batman 2, Iron Man 2? And I'm like, Jesus Christ, Evan. Evan's always trying to pitch me stuff I've already done.
Returns in Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
But we did manage to land on, holy crap, 3. I just realized. All 3 of these are Christmas movies. The first triple feature we did was Christmas movies.
Mm-hmm.
These are all Jennifer Garner Christmas movies.
Really? Oh, that's right. Elektra does take place at Christmas time, as does Peppermint. That's really funny. It's a little late, but we got it. So it's only February 1st.
That's forever.
This is true.
Share this again on all your social media on Christmas 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Right after the election.
So yeah, we were just chatting back and forth about stuff that like would be fun to do, things that we would like to do, and the Elektra one kept coming back up because I think I kept attaching that one to maybe 2 other female-led comic book movie.
I remember.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
the original pitch, and because I'll watch just about any movie, read just about any comic, that Preacher. So it was originally Elektra, Josie and the Pussycats, and Tank Girl.
Right.
And then somehow in the main podcast chat, you threw Josie and the Pussycats out there, and it was like a feeding frenzy.
Yeah, that one came out of fucking nowhere.
Everybody wanted Josie and the Pussycats, and someone said, "Well, what about Spice World?" And then there was something else, I think, involving Julia Roberts and Liam Neeson. And suddenly, I was out, and what was worse is I was like, "There's no way I can argue that I should be on this because I clearly am not equipped to discuss Spice World. I'm not the first string here."
Yeah,
and
that was a Pat Mullen thing. Pat Mullen was like Josie and the Pussycats, Spice World, and then whatever other one with Justine Bateman it was.
Yeah,
and it was like, okay, well, who's going to argue with Pat? Nobody.
I was like, I can't. I am not the guy you want on this one. I'm not going to be your first choice. And then we were talking about others, and this one kind of happened. I don't know if you want to introduce the movies first, but I remember how this one was built up.
So tonight we are doing a Jennifer Garner focus, an actor focus. We're looking at Family Switch, which I'll read the demographic information in a little bit when we get to the movie. But Family Switch which aired on Netflix late last year. Elektra from 2005, which was the spinoff from the Daredevil 2003 with Ben Affleck. And then because I'd never seen it and I needed to see it, it was just one of those movies where it's like, I have to see what this movie is. Because I remember the trailers for it and going, oh my God, I can't believe they stuck Jennifer Garner in a Punisher movie and called it Peppermint. So I was like, all right, this gives me an excuse to watch Peppermint and talk about it. So yes, a Jennifer Garner focus of Family Switch, Elektra, and Peppermint. Go.
Yeah. Well, so we went back to Elektra because I've been wanting to watch Elektra. I only watched it once.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't even go see it in the theater. And then I said, well, I've got my take on Elektra that I've had for these many years, which is simply, simply and simplistically, I started to say that Jennifer Garner is too adorable to play a cold-blooded killer. And then I said, well, wait, there was Peppermint. And then you said, okay, Elektra, Peppermint, and one more. And I said, well, we have to do one of her family comedies just to go completely in the other direction.
Right.
Because
we have complete tonal whiplash.
Yeah. You turned down my Vegas-centric triple feature of Casino, Leaving Las Vegas, and Flintstones Viva Rock Vegas. So,
which, by the way, because you said that, then Chris Bailey pops up and goes, "Oh my God, Long Road to Ruin, Flintstones." Ugh.
Well, yeah, I mean, as soon as you shut everybody but Pat out of Josie and the Pussycats, you had a lot of disappointed people. I mean, that who thought that would be the movie that launched 1,000 podcasts?
Yeah, really. So I think at the end of the day, what it was I looked at the last thing Jennifer Garner did, and it was Family Switch, and it was on Netflix. And I'm like, okay, I still have this need to kind of want to keep these triple features somewhat contemporaneous. So we kicked off Black Cinema Month, and the anchor to that was The Blackening, and it was because it was the most recent movie of the three, but it was also one that I'd wanted to see. So there's another situation where it's like, okay, I don't know if I would have ever watched Family Switch on my own, though apparently, and this is what happens when you try to not be home as much as possible. I was talking to my son about this. I was like, oh yeah, on Thursday we're doing a Jennifer Garner focus. And he was like, which movies? And I told him, I said, and I told him about Family Switch. And he goes, oh, that's right. Me and everybody else at home watched that movie around Christmas time. You weren't home though. And I was like, what the fuck? So I'm making up for lost time here with Family Switch. Jennifer Garner, she may be too cute to play a cold-blooded killer, but she is just cute enough to be in a family movie where she is a mom beset on all sides.
Yes, indeed. And did you notice Family Switch has another common thread for you and me?
Oh, what's that?
Can't remember his name, and my IMDb is not loading fast enough, but it's the kid that was the lead in Mighty Ducks Game Changers.
Oh, that's him?
Yeah. So we got unlikely Christmas movies, we got comic book adaptations, we got the kid from Game Changers. This was like a ready-made triple feature for me and you.
Well, it really was. All right, so let's talk about who the fuck Jennifer Garner is. Jennifer Garner. She was born April 17th, 1972. Wow, Jennifer Garner and I are almost the same age. She's a hot 4 years older than me. She was born in Houston, Texas, and raised in Charleston, West Virginia. Well, no wonder all of you people love Jennifer Garner. Now I see the connection. See, what people don't know, if you haven't been listening to the podcast long, is I am, part of the West Virginia mafia. All my podcasters are all in the West Virginia, Ohio / West Virginia area. So it's a West Virginia mafia that we've got going here on the Rattleton Broadcasting Network, led by a Jew from Tampa. Anywho, she studied theater at Denison University and began acting as an understudy for the Roundabout Theater Company in New York City. She made her on-screen debut in the television adaptation of Daniel Steele's romance novel Zoya. Oh boy. In 1995, she had a starring role in the Fox teen drama series Time of Your Life, and supporting roles in the war drama Pearl Harbor and the comedy drama film Catch Me If You Can. She gained recognition for starring as a CIA officer, Sidney Bristow, in the ABC action thriller series Alias. Did you watch Alias at all?
I did not. Once I found out that it was not related to the Marvel comic, I just I didn't watch Alias. It's on my list.
She won a Golden Globe Award and a SAG Award in addition to her four Primetime Emmy Award nominations. She also starred in romantic comedies 13 Going on 30 in 2004, Juno, which is incredible, in 2007, Ghost of Girlfriends Past 2009, Valentine's Day 2010, and she, of course, portrayed Elektra in 2005, and in Daredevil 2003, and then Elektra in 2005. She has since starred in several independent films, including the biographical drama Dallas Buyers Club, and family comedies such as Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible... Yeah, she's really become, movie mom. That's, her big thing now. Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day, Love, Simon, Yes Day. She's also starred in the action film Peppermint, which we're going to talk about, The Atom Project, which is excellent, by the way, and the Apple TV Plus limited series, The Last Thing He Told Me. She works as an activist for early childhood education and is a board member of Save the Children USA. She's the co-founder and chief brand officer of the organic baby food company Once Upon a Farm. She also is an advocate for anti-paparazzi campaigns among children of celebrities. So Jennifer Garner, just a nice lady. No major problems here.
Exactly. Even the whole Ben Affleck thing.
Yeah, she can be forgiven for that.
What is it about failed superhero movies that launch celebrity marriages? Devil, got Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner. Green Lantern, you mentioned. Got Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively. Anyway, that's a whole other topic.
So, Jennifer Garner, she's a cutie patootie. What's your big thing with Jennifer Garner? Why do you like her so much?
Well, I mean, she is from West Virginia. Mm-hmm. She does seem to be a genuinely nice person, but like I said, I don't know why I didn't watch Alias. I liked her okay in Daredevil. We'll talk about that a little more. But what really sold me on Jennifer Garner was 13 Going on 30.
Okay.
That in my more extensive movie reviewing days, when I thought I had to have big interesting statements instead of I like that movie. For you that, and I realize this is a bit overstated, but who said she should have gotten nominated for an Oscar for 13 Going on 30 because the movie doesn't work without her? Now, it's a bit of an overstatement, but I stand by that. I mean, she's not the only person that could have played that role, but I didn't go see 13 Going on 30 because I could relate to what it was like to be a teenage girl who wanted to grow up, or any of it that appealed to me. I just thought it looked kind of interesting, and Jennifer Garner was the hook that made that movie work. And then I'm like, oh, and now she's playing the most cold-blooded Marvel sort of hero ever in Elektra. That seems weird.
So, looking through her filmography, things that I have seen her in, Dude, Where's My Car? The first couple of films listed are from 1997, and it's In Harm's Way, Deconstructing Harry Washington Square, Mr. Magoo, 1999. I saw none of those. But I did see Dude, Where's My Car, which we did an on trial for. Then I saw her in Daredevil. I also saw her in 13 Going on 30. I saw Elektra in the theater. I saw Juno, which I was talking about before. That's an outstanding movie. And
I still can't remember why I didn't see Elektra in the theater.
it
may have to do with meeting somebody at a comic convention who actually worked on the comic adaptation before it came out. I was like, oh, so you know a little more about the Elektra movie. And the basic response I got was, yeah, I wouldn't get my hopes up.
She's excellent in Draft Day. And so clips of Draft Day are all over TikTok. It's like that, Moneyball, Remember the Titans, and Big Bang Theory. And Draft Day is one of those movies that we keep talking about doing. We never quite nail it down when we're going to talk about it. But Draft Day is excellent. It's one of my favorite movies, and she is outstanding in it. What'd you think of Draft Day?
Hey, I'm trying to remember. I did watch Draft Day because I'm a big NFL fan. I don't think I was super impressed, but I was probably looking at, I think they got some of the football business stuff wrong. I'm like, that wouldn't happen. So he was missing the acting and things like that. But that's the takeaway I remember from Draft Day is like, I don't think that would happen.
Gotcha. Well, I wouldn't know that. All right. So that's Jennifer Garner. Let's get into, unless you have more you want to talk about here, let's get into Family Switch. Family Switch is a 2023 American comedy film directed by McG. And if you don't know who McG is, let me tell you about this guy's filmography.
Well, can I tell you that McG is my director?
That's right. We talked about this when we talked about We Are Marshall, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I didn't end up making it on that episode, but I was technically an extra in We Are Marshall.
That's right. That's right. You did tell me that.
Spoiler-ish alert, at the end of the movie, when they turn the fountain back on and they pan out over the crowd of people standing there in solemn tribute, as the camera pans out over the campus, it fades to black right before I'm pretty sure you could have seen me.
So McG did the 2000 and 2003 Charlie's Angels movies. Yup, those movies. The aforementioned We Are Marshall, which we reviewed. Me and Jason ended up reviewing that. Terminator Salvation. This fucking stupid movie. Oh my god. Yeah, this is the one that goes into like present day nuked, Earth, where you follow like John Connor and young Kyle Reese and all of that. I think it's the only Terminator movie I've never reviewed because I hate it so much. It's awful. McG, you are on my list of monsters. This Means War, 3 Days to Kill, The Babysitter, Rim of the World, The Babysitter Killer Queen, and now Family Switch, and coming up soon, The Uglies. So that's McG. I think it's fair to say McG is a mixed bag when it comes to directing.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I was surprised when they announced that he was directing We Are Marshall because I mainly knew him from the action stuff, and I kind of got the feeling that was like his shot at like Oscar bait and maybe legitimacy, and it didn't work out that way. I like the movie though.
I think he did a good job with the movie, but I think Family Switch is more his bag. Like let's make a silly saccharine family comedy, and we'll talk about it when we get to the craft review. But there's some things that he does that I'm like, oh, that's so McG.
Not realize until the credits rolled. I didn't do a lot of my homework going into it that it was him. And there were things that I have, as I was making notes, and I'm like, why did they do this? And then I'm like, oh, because it's McG. Okay.
Yeah. So back to Family Switch. Written by Adam Setskell and Victoria Strauss, starring Jennifer Garner and Ed Helms. The film is based on the 2010 children's book Bedtime for Mommy by Amy Krauss Rosenthal. It was released on Netflix November 30th, 2023, and received negative reviews from critics. Take a drink every time I say that. I'm going to say it a lot on this podcast. The film has a plot about body swapping involving multiple members of the same family. So, yes, mom is a busy businesswoman who don't need no man. Ed Helms is an Arrested Development dad who teaches band and choir, and he plays in a dad rock band like my uncle used to. My uncle's band was called Dirty Old Men, and the band that Ed Helms plays in is Better Off Dad. Apparently, this is the thing you do.
I thought it was Dad or Alive.
Oh, sorry, Dad or Alive, right? Yeah, it's always some sort of silly pun like that.
Trying to go out in glory.
The son is like a science prodigy, and he is got a shot at Harvard, but he's only like midway through high school. Nerdy, picked on, not social in any way. And then the daughter is a sloppy jock, likes to play a lot of soccer.
The national team.
Yeah. And so this family is in crisis. They are, and there's a baby and a dog. That's all you really need to know there. First of all, the most unbelievable thing about this movie is not the magical body swapping. It's that if this marriage was in the state that it's in when we meet them, I don't know how the hell they had this kid. Like they've got 2 high school students and this baby. And I'm like, I don't believe you would have had that baby, given all the things that happened in this movie.
He decided that, you know what? You can have a father and son body swap. You can have a mother and daughter body swap. But a baby and a dog? Oh, yeah.
Can I tell you, the baby and dog stuff got the biggest laughs out of me out of this entire movie.
I found it unsettling. The CGI weirded me out to know.
We'll talk about it in a minute. So basically, Jennifer Garner is just having a meltdown. This family is falling apart. They don't want to take pictures together. They don't want to do anything. The mom and the daughter don't understand each other. The son and the father don't understand each other. And everyone's like, this whole family is ready to go in like 4 different directions. The dad wants to go be in his band. The mom wants to be the busy businesswoman who don't need no man. The girl wants to go play soccer, and the boy wants to go to Harvard to do science. He's dropping science, yo. So anyway, he's said to the very white Evan Bevins.
You're white too.
I'm transracial. So anyway, so they go to this telescope. They go to take a picture, and Rita Moreno. This movie is Rita Moreno is too good for this movie. I don't know why she's in this.
I mean, she's got to eat too.
Rita Moreno was in Oz. She in West Side Story, all of them, all the West Side Stories. I mean, did she need to eat that badly? I mean, it's like the fuck she do this movie for?
It's a classic movie setup, only tripled. You've got the Netflix and streaming all-stars here. Yeah. Jennifer Garner did Yes Day. Big G did the Babysitter movies for Netflix. The daughter, whose name I don't have in front of me, she was on Wednesday. And you got Brady Noon, our friend from Mighty Ducks, Emma Myers. Yeah, she just wants in on that streaming money.
They had to have her in for like 1 day of shooting.
Right.
We will give you this giant sack of money that has a dollar sign on it if you come in for 1 day. She's like, you're only getting me for 1 day. We only need you for 1 day, Rita. We only need you for 1 day. Fine, I will do it for a sack of money with a dollar bill on it, with a dollar sign. Anyway,
understanding amongst family members.
Yes. So the daughter and the mom swap, the son and the father swap, and the baby and the dog swap. They get a neighbor to watch the baby and the dog, so the baby isn't drinking out of the toilet, and the dog doesn't wander away, go and walk about.
They didn't want to spend any more money on CGI for the baby and the dog.
I'm sorry. I got to take a minute to talk about this. After they've done the body swap thing, the stuff with the principal players is fine. It's Freaky Friday done with the whole family instead of just the mom and the daughter.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you, that initial sequence of the dog and the baby swapping, where the baby is being CGI'd running around like a dog, and the dog is walking upright as a toddler. Oh my God, Evan, I was dying laughing. Like, I'm not a dumb man and I don't smoke pot, but for some odd reason, the sight of the dog walking on its hind legs like a toddler cracked me the fuck up. And the sped up camera special effect to get the baby as the dog running around the room and like biting on things or whatever, I couldn't stop laughing.
Whatever floats your boat, man. I'm just saying, probably could have paid Rita Moreno for 2 days of work if they'd cut out some of the unnecessary CGI.
No, look,
The
I
transformation effect when it shows like the planets aligning. I mean you know more about budgeting and stuff for these than I do, but I'm like, that had to have been like a very large unnecessary chunk of your budget there.
yeah, utter waste is what it was. Listen, I'm not a fan of cinematic universes anymore for a variety of reasons. They've hurt me. I'm not a fan of spin-offs.
More Expendables cinematic universe.
Yeah, I'm done with all of it. However, I will take a spin-off of the baby and the dog having been body swapped again and the further adventures of these two characters. Oh, give me more of that. Anyway, on this particular day, why is this day worse than any other day? The dad's band, Better Off Dad, or whatever it's called. Dad or Alive. They have an audition, which if they nail the audition, they get to go to California. So this is important. Dad needs to be there.
Howie Mandel, who my kids and I couldn't figure out if he was playing himself or someone else.
I feel like he was playing Tom Cruise's character from the war movie where Robert Downey Jr. is in blackface. Which one?
Gone with the Wind.
Yeah. Yeah, no. So Dad's got an audition. He needs to be there for that. It needs to go well. But he's swapped now with his son, who, doesn't quite have the stage presence, performing chops, doesn't have the courage to pull it off. So that's a problem. And the son has a college interview with Harvard where he'll get to leave high school early, and he really needs to nail this. And his father, not exactly a genius. So, how's he going to pull? My God, Evan, how's he going to pull off this college interview to go to Harvard? He's going to wreck his son's life. And oh, by the way, the one girl in the universe that's interested in this kid happens to have announced that she's interested in him on this very day, which was a little weird. Like, the movie handled it kind of well. Ed Helms doesn't try to mouth kiss this poor high school girl or anything like that. But it was definitely unsettling for me to watch, Ed Helms playing his teenage son, flirting with this girl, and then realizing I'm in my dad's body. Gross.
True, yeah, but they at least they acknowledge it. They didn't just try to gloss over it. There's the part where she's going in for the kiss, and he's in his son's body, and he's like, "Nope."
Yeah. He puts up a like a box of crackers or some shit. Jesus, yeah.
Romance killer.
Yep. And so on this very day, Jennifer Garner works for what appears to be an advertising agency.
Architecture.
Architecture.
I thought it was advertising at first too, but yeah, it's architecture.
Because 90% of these movies, they always work in advertising.
Right.
Yeah. They're always trying to land a client. This is the most important client. This is the most important pitch they're ever going to do, Evan. And if they don't nail this pitch, that everything, then the bad guy will get it, and everything will be in tatters.
That guy.
Yeah. So anyway, so she works for an architecture firm.
Just for being mildly annoying. I mean, that's the only thing I saw him do.
Yeah. And she's a busy businesswoman who don't need no man, and she likes to do everything herself, and she doesn't trust her team. And, she's just this tiger mom type character. And this is the big day, and she has to nail this pitch. But oh no, her daughter is in her body, and she has to get her daughter to do it. Her daughter and the mom are not seeing eye to eye. They don't understand each other. The daughter doesn't know all the sacrifices Jennifer Garner has made, and Jennifer Garner doesn't know how hard her daughter works, and they're just miles and miles apart. And then of course the girl is like a star soccer player, and now Jennifer Garner doesn't know a lick about soccer, and
from the national team is in the stands that every day.
Yeah, so this is a pretty important game, and Jennifer Garner doesn't know what the fuck she's doing. And she has not run on a soccer field in quite some time, and she has to figure out how to play this game and get the girl the opportunity that she wants, or lest the whole family fall to pieces. And that's kind of the movie.
First day.
The movie takes place over a course of about 3 days, and 2 of the days are body swapped. the whole thing is Rita Moreno did voodoo to them in front of the fucking telescope, and then Jennifer Garner does an oopsie and she falls off the staircase and she knocks the telescope over and a lens gets loose, yada yada yada. So they have to get this lens in order for this telescope to work, and they need the telescope to work in order to restore them to their natural bodies, because they don't know that Rita Moreno did the voodoo to them.
That's right. I mean, you weren't actually buying that the telescope thing would work, right?
No, not even a little.
Okay,
but they needed an artificial ticking clock,
right? Yeah,
they needed to create some degree of tension. So the first day goes not well. The daughter goes to the pitch, and of course it goes poorly, and she eats ice cream, and she does it in Jennifer Garner's body, and Jennifer Garner is lactose intolerant, so she's just shitting all over the place. Because that's what this movie needed. A lot of potty humor.
Well, I mean, it can't all be CGI demon babies. So
should have been, though. So then, by the same token, Jennifer Garner and her daughter's body is on the soccer field, and she's kind of starting to get it slowly, and she's doing a little bit of soccer, and then something happens, and she ends up with a clear shot at the goal, but in doing so, she fucking, killed this poor girl, and knocked her on the ground, and the girl's doing Peter Griffin, holding her knee. And Jennifer Garner, being a mom and concerned for the welfare of children, turns around and goes to help the girl, and of course, they don't win the game. So she blows her chance at soccer, and mom and daughter are just beside themselves with each other. Meanwhile, over on the men's side, so now dad is in the body of his son, and he's wearing leather jackets, and he's got his hair all done nicely, and he's all kinds of charisma. Yes. And he goes and does the Harvard interview, and of course, he's a moron. But he's got a lot of charisma. He's got a lot of pizzazz.
Charming moron.
Yeah. Needless to say, that goes poorly.
Not a charming moron. That helps.
Yeah. And then again, the son's in the body of the father, and the father is trying to navigate, high school and all this other stuff. They don't necessarily get to the father's big thing until the very end of the movie. By that point, they've all sort of seen more eye to eye what's going on with this family, and they're making amends, and they're learning things, which is the whole point of what Rita Moreno wanted them to do. Fix what's broken.
Was broken.
Yeah, fix what was broken. So they do dad's concert. It goes well. They get the audition. They're going to go to California, and everything is great. Then because we need a final action sequence, they get the lens, but they got to get across town. See, to get to the telescope before the final alignment, and they get there, and then they break the lens. But oh no, the baby had the original lens this whole time, and they put the thing in the telescope, and nothing happened. They're like, "What do we do now?" Well, let's go home and love each other, and so they have a big orgy. No, what? You knew what you signed on when you came on this podcast.
But you were complaining about the fart humor a minute ago, and now
it's okay when I do it. So they go home, and it's Christmas, and they love each other, and they wake up, and now that they have fixed the internal conflict of this family, and they love each other, and they know each other, and they are moved by the experience, Rita Moreno restores them to their natural selves, and they all live, and mom nails the part. The kid on a second opportunity to do the pitch nails it. So she becomes a partner. The kid gets another shot at Harvard. The girl,
no, he doesn't. He gets a girlfriend.
Oh, that's right. He decides not. He realizes he's not ready, and he doesn't want to run away from high school just yet. So he gets a girlfriend instead. He gets a consolation prize. The girl, however, gets a second shot at the national soccer team
because the scout was impressed by her compassion.
That's right. And the baby is not, and the baby is the baby again, and the dog is the dog.
Much to your disappointment.
It was the worst part of the movie. All right, so Jennifer Garner, family switch. What'd you think?
Well, Jennifer Garner is great in it.
I think they're all great.
She's terrific. She cracked me up as the daughter. I mean, yeah, she's great. I mean, Ed Helms. They got the right people for it. I mean, the kids are good. they all do a good job of impersonating each other, and making you believe that they really have switched. I mean, I cracked up several times. The one that had me laughing like you and my daughter laughing at my oldest at the one like you were with the kid was the when the kids in the mom and dad body try to fix dinner. And it goes from this like calm static scene to like stuff exploding everywhere like that. We were cracking up at that.
That was funny.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I mean, I thought they picked a good cast. They picked the right person to give the bag of money to. Yeah, as far as the performances, I mean, I was laughing. I was entertained. My oldest was entertained.
Yeah, no, this isn't look, I know you and several others are always like carrying pitchforks and torches for me and Robert because like we're too hard on movies, and you Ronnie Bailey are just like, why do you hate stuff? Like, oh my god, children. Look, I could sit here and name 101 things that are wrong with Family Switch, but why? It's not. This movie doesn't have the kind of intellectual heft that deserves that level of deconstruction. It is not perfect, and a lot of it is not great. There were some very cringy like moments in this movie that I was having to fast forward through, where that just might be my issue. Where I'm like, oh, this is too stupid for me. Huh?
You just wanted more baby dog Switch.
You're not wrong. There was a certain things where I'm just like, oh, real humans don't act this way, and I gotta move past this. Part of it was I was watching it late at night, and I wanted to get it in to watch 10 movies this week, Evan. 10.
Whoever is in charge of your schedule, man, you need to have a talk with them.
I don't know who's making my schedule, but I gotta punch him in the solar plexus. But by the same token, everyone here is wonderfully charming. No one here gives like a bad performance necessarily. Ed Helms is funny. Jennifer Garner is wonderful and charismatic and beautiful and just amazing. The kids are great. The kids acting as their parents cracked me up. In terms of like the writing, I mean, I think it's good. It's not spectacular, but I think the conflict between the parents and the kids, I think, was well told, and what they learn about like the stuff between the mom and the daughter at the end, where everyone's telling her that your mom never missed a soccer game, your mom hasn't gone on a vacation in like 5 years, to make money to pay for your soccer camps and shit like that. Like,
maybe if dad wasn't fixing up that car, they could have gone on a vacation and soccer camp. But
all right, I don't feel like this is the place to criticize the dad's choices. I think a little bit more could have been made of the distance between the mom and the dad. But it was like this isn't that kind of movie. This isn't this isn't War of the Roses. But I think that like they touched on it, they kind of pointed at it from about 100 yards, and they didn't do anything with it. But like I said, the stuff with the daughter and the mom at the end, that got to me. Like, not so much the stuff with the father and the son, but the stuff with Jennifer Garner and her kid in this movie, that touched my heart, and I got a little teary-eyed, I have to say. It is a cute, adorable, perfectly serviceable, non-threatening movie, which if you're looking for something to watch around the holidays, if you're the kind of family that isn't in crisis like mine was, that you're looking for holiday fare that's cheap to watch on Netflix, this fits right in there.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun. There's nothing really new.
Yeah,
I
think that's my harshest criticism of this movie is, did you see Freaky Friday? It's the same fucking movie,
but there's more. I mean, that seems to be it. They were like, what hasn't been done in a while? Body swap comedy. Who would be good in a body swap comedy? About Jennifer Garner and Ed Helms. That's great. Okay, here are the notes you need to hit. I mean, they did everything they needed to. They had so much going on. Like, a lot of stuff felt like it resolved. Like, there was this huge gulf between the mother and the daughter, and then it's like, no, we're good. Yeah. I mean, it made sense. Like, the problem made sense. The way it was resolved made sense, but it just all happened pretty quick. Although I did give them credit for the one scene where they referenced like Big and 13 going on 30 and 2 or 3 other body swap comedies, like just all like, let's just get it out of the way right now.
Yeah.
So, it was, it's a lot of fun. I mean, I don't know, am I going to remember much about it 6 months from now? Probably not. But I mean, is it something I'll pop on, one Christmas, just,
we've been talking lately about how there are just some movies that are made now that because of the way the movie industry works, no one would go to the theater to see them. Nobody. They are just made to be streamed. Yeah. And if I had to like point to a movie that was just made for streaming, it's this one. This is a movie everyone will watch on Netflix because they have Netflix, and why not? But no one would have seen this movie in the theater.
It's not appointment viewing.
Not even a little.
But I mean, the fact that I got both my kids to watch it says something. It's I mean, this is going to sound more negative than I mean it to, but it's a compromise movie. It's like, hey, you like Jennifer Garner? You like Ed Helms? You like wacky family stuff? Nothing's going to turn you off about this movie.
Yep.
Except CGI baby.
No, it's the best part. All right. So that's one of her most recent movies. Now let's go to one of her older ones, the dreck that is Elektra. Before I get into this, you're my comic book man, and you like to take your clothes off while you're playing Snap with Jesse. I just want to.
One of those things is
true. You know everything there is to know. You've read every comic book. You know every word. You can recite them verbatim. So, what's your history with Elektra?
Not much.
I love having you on the show, Evan.
I mean, I knew more about Elektra than I read about Elektra, but I mean, I can tell you, she was Matt Murdock's college girlfriend. Matt Murdock, of course, being Daredevil, the blind lawyer from Hell's Kitchen. Whereas Matt went on to fight the good fight and punch people for justice, she went on to fight the bad fight and stab people for money.
Did you read the Frank Miller Elektra book?
Yeah,
was supposed to be. So I was reading the history of the Elektra movie, and apparently the initial plan was to adapt Frank Miller's Elektra Assassin, and then they sold the rights to 20th Century Fox, and Jennifer Garner didn't want to do it, and so they came up with the garbage that is this movie.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. The things that this movie has in common with the comic is Elektra wears red. She did get killed by Bullseye. She did come back to life. And she was taught by a guy named Stick. And now usually, like, you didn't even see me roll my eyes when you immediately referred to Elektra as Drek, because I defend a lot of comic book movies. I didn't remember Goran Visnich was in this movie. I didn't remember Stick was in this movie, nor that he was played by Terrence Stamp. I just knew that it existed.
Yeah, I saw this. Well, let me read. Mark reads the wiki. Elektra is a 2005 superhero film based on the Marvel comic character Elektra, Nachos and Cheese, and directed by Rob Bowman. It's a spinoff from the Daredevil 2003, which there is an on trial for. Sean and I did 8 years ago, with Jennifer Garner reprising her role as the titular character. The story follows Elektra, an assassin who must protect a man and his prodigy daughter from another assassin who was hired by the Hand. A bunch of other people are in this, and Terrence Stamp, Neil before Zod. But the screenplay, Zach Penn, Stuart Zickerman, and M. Raven Metzner received written by credit. Mark Steven Johnson received credit for the motion picture characters, and Frank Miller for comic book characters. Filming started around May 2004 in Vancouver. It was released January 14th, 2005. Yeah, that's the first thing about this movie is they released it in fuck you, it's January. Not a good sign. Upon its release, Elektra was a commercial and critical failure, grossing $57 million against a production budget of about $65. It received negative reviews from critics who found the script and storyline lacking, but many praised Garner's performance. Yeah, I mean, look, Garner's fucking trying. Yeah, giving it a level best.
I mean, I thought she was good in Daredevil, and I don't think she's necessarily bad in this, but I mean, she's not Elektra. This
That's
is
one problem.
Jennifer Garner. And you know, I just, yeah, that, I mean, the stuff with her being OCD because of her past trauma or whatever, that just felt like kind of thrown in out of nowhere.
Yeah. So the storyline here essentially is she's resurrected. She's an assassin for hire. She gets a job. She goes to do the job. Turns out it's this family that she had just kind of befriended. So now she doesn't want to kill them. So she tries to walk away. But she feels guilty. She doesn't want the hand to kill him. So she goes back and she saves them, and they go on the run. And that's more or less the movie. They are eventually stalked by a team of comic book characters like Tattoo and Stone, and the worst adaptation of Typhoid Mary I have ever fucking seen.
Comic book characters that, with the exception of Typhoid, I had to look up before we went on here. That's how obscure they are, Mark. I
forgot Bob Sapp was in this movie, by the way. And I was watching it at home, and I see the scene where Bob Sapp shows up, and he's great in this. He's my favorite part. It's the evil grin that he has.
He's a one-man CGI baby and dog.
Yep. I turned to my son and I'm like, "Hey, Bob Sapp's in this," and he doesn't remember when we did the first volume of Bob Sapp's Tour of Defeat alternative commentary, my son and I. But he does remember Bob Sapp from The Longest Yard. He broke it in my nose. So like, oh, he broke it in my nose is in this movie. And my son's like, that's great. I'm playing Xbox. Alrighty. So, so they are chased by this group of D-level Marvel villains and Typhoid Mary. Ugh. They eventually have a fight.
The thing she has in common with Typhoid Mary is the name Typhoid.
Yeah.
That's it.
Now it turns out that the young girl that she's on the run with is the key to everything, as girls often are.
She's the treasure.
I'll bet.
Because the treasure can do kung fu too.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Tale as old as time, men running after a girl's treasure. Anyway, you knew what you signed on to and you agreed to do this. So they fight, and they run, and eventually it's the final fight, and Elektra beats them, and the father and the daughter go off to be treasured. And Elektra, having learned a thing or two over the course of this 2-hour movie, she's learned compassion. That's what this movie's about. She was a ruthless assassin, don't you understand, Evan Bevins? And now she's a compassionate, ruthless murderer. She learns that not everyone deserves to be killed in their sleep.
Which is why, allegedly, she's agreed to cameo in Deadpool 3.
Yes. No, she's confirmed for Deadpool 3, which is going to be fantastic. I'm excited for that. Are you not a fan? Are you not a Deadpool fan?
I like Deadpool in the comics, some of the comics, when he was PG-13 and sometimes somewhat heroic.
Oh, did the amount of Baccarat stuff bother you in the first Deadpool?
Everything bothered me.
Marina Baccarat, sorry.
Everything bothered me in the first Deadpool.
Oh, not just the gratuitous sex?
No, that was least among my... At least in the second Deadpool, even before the ill-advised, not really PG-13 cut, he tried to do something for someone else. In the first Deadpool movie, it's just a story about a terrible guy killing people he doesn't like.
That's fair. All right, speaking of killing things you don't like, Elektra. So, Evan, we're going to do a little mini on trial here. Defend this fucking movie if you can.
This movie.
Huh?
I can't defend this movie. Jennifer Garner was popular. They had her under contract. They're like, let's do some action stuff. Find us some comic book characters we can use. Okay. Here's a guy. He's indestructible. How's she going to kill him? She's not. A tree's going to fall on him. I got nothing.
So I'll tag you.
Armageddon is a delightful movie, and no amount of pointing out its very obvious flaws will ever dissuade me from that. But I I don't know. I mean, I hate to crap on stuff people do and try to do well, but I mean, Jennifer Garner's pretty. She's a nice lady.
She is. She's everyone's mom now. Yeah. So let me tell you why Elektra is the worst thing ever. Look, Jennifer Garner is fucking trying in this thing. She really is. And I watched it again yesterday, and I'm watching her performance, and she is so badly trying to give this character some depth, and she's kind of playing her like a like she's got PTSD, and like she's struggling through her trauma, and and it's like, what else am I supposed to do? I'm a killer. Killing is what I do. Killing is my business, and business is good. But,
and she also does Batman disappearances all the time for no reason.
Yeah. So her whole thing is like, I don't really want to be this anymore. I don't like myself, but I don't know what else to do. So I'm going to keep doing it. And then she has a crisis of conflict. She has a crisis of conscience. And, so she helps this family out as best she can. And then like the rest of it is just like her fighting ninjas, which I don't know about you. I think there were some people who would probably watch this movie and like, oh, it's good. I like watching a pretty girl kick butt. Because that's about the only good thing I have to say about this movie, is that if your level of like film insight is, I like see pretty girl kick stuff, yeah, fine. Elektra's fine. It's mostly shot. It's mostly in frame. It's not blurry in any way. There's not tremendously bad CGI that I could tell. The landscapes are very nice. Vancouver is lovely that time of year. But it is the most basic of basic plots. I mean, it's almost like porn parody, like to that level of plot. And then like the fighting is utterly nondescript, but if you don't care and you just want to see a pretty girl kick stuff, Elektra's fine. The problem is it crumbles under the weight of any kind of scrutiny, as it's currently doing.
It doesn't make any sense.
No. Well, I mean, how much sense does it need to be? The little girl is the key to everything, and they want her. I don't know what they're going to do with her. It's never really adequately explained, but they want her, and they don't want her to have her.
Yeah.
That's kind of it.
Yeah, it's like even the one that cracked me up is
lost Evan there for a second.
I'm back.
You're back. Yep, now you're back.
Oh, I didn't know I was gone that long. Okay. Like, I mean, even there's the part where there's McCabe, the lovable handler. He's such a nice guy. He's always very thoughtful when he arranges killings for people he knows nothing about. And he's like, he's worried about her bloodlust. He's like, man, that you really dropped a lot of bodies. That was a whole lot. Let's get back to work. Here's the next person you're supposed to murder.
Yeah.
Even that, it's just somebody was like, hey, we'll make him kind of a nice guy. But then we need him to, I mean, it just, I don't quite know how to describe it. It's like, okay, well, we need these things to happen, and so we'll have them happen. And then it would be funny if this happened, or interesting if this, but like none of it builds off. It's just, random moments around a very basic plot.
It is very much cliche, the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But not even, I mean, like, well, we were just talking about Family Switch was cliche, but it was funny.
It had charm.
Yeah.
Elektra lacks charm. Elektra is trying to rest on the fact, like, well, nerds like comic book characters. This is a comic book character, so nerds will like this. And it's
people like Elektra, people like Jennifer Garner. Just print the money.
Right,
and
what could possibly go wrong?
It doesn't work. I mean, yeah, you're right. Jennifer Garner's trying to do something with it, but there's just, nothing really happens.
No. But Jennifer Garner, not to be outdone, not to be defeated, tries again. Just like, I'm not giving up on this. I can be an action hero. God damn it.
Well, I mean, Alias, I think that's what she was.
Yeah.
Again, keep meaning to watch that. But yeah, I like to think that somewhere along the way, she heard me in my trait summation say, Jennifer Garner's too cute to be a killer. And she's like, I will prove that guy I've never heard of wrong.
Yeah, she's like Evan Bevins from the West Virginia Mafia. That guy don't know what he's talking about. I can be Wonder Woman. I can be the Punisher. I'm gonna be the Punisher. I'm gonna be the Punisher. You can't be the Punisher. You have a vagina. Okay, what what if I'm the Punisher?
Oh, come on, Mark. You know there's been a female Punisher, right?
Has there really?
Yeah, I never read any of them, but I found her in a handbook somewhere.
No one has. No one read. Not even the editor of that particular book. I don't know why they made that. What if I'm the Punisher? You can't be the Punisher. Okay, but what if we change the Punisher to Peppermint? Okay, why Peppermint?
What if it's the guy who directed Take It?
So, yes, Peppermint, which I remember seeing the trailer for this, and I laughed my ass off. Like, it was like, because I remember thinking to myself, like, why is she doing a Punisher movie? Why is she the Punisher? And again, Jennifer Garner, it's sweetie. Like, your agent needs a punch in the solar plexus. I don't know how he let you do this. I understand you are trying to fill some action boots. You know, I applaud any woman who stretches and pushes herself to try to do the action hero thing. It's not easy. Looks like it's easy when men do it, but lots of men have tried. Lots of men have failed. Adam Driver. So, you know, so when a woman tries it, you're really facing an uphill struggle because a lot of men are just not interested. You know, sometimes we're interested, depending on the character, depending on what you're doing. When it happens kind of naturally, like it did with Linda Hamilton or Sigourney Weaver and their, Terminator and Alien, respectively.
No, Mark. Everybody either likes women or hates them. That's it.
Trying to have a nuanced discussion.
That.
Yeah. When it happens naturally, I think you'll have your fans, and that's fine. But I think in the cases where it's forced, men just outwardly reject it, and so this brings us to Peppermint, which came out in 2018. It's an American vigilante action thriller film. Somebody compared this to Death Wish. It's Death with a girl, and it's not wrong. Directed by Pierre Morel, starring the aforementioned Jennifer Garner. It also features John Ortiz, John Gallagher Jr., Juan Pablo Raba, and Tyson Ritter. The plot follows a woman.
Well, you're just going to totally skip over Method Man?
Yes, and Method Man's in this from The Wire. Transforms herself into a vigilante in a quest for revenge against the drug cartel that killed her daughter and her husband. The film was released in the U.S. on September 7, 2018. It grossed $53 million worldwide and received generally negative reviews from critics. Take a drink, everyone. The film was released on Netflix in 2020 as well as other platforms. I had to actually rent this today. I had to spend money on this.
Well, I spent money on it too.
So yeah, this movie. What happens here is Jennifer Garner is a mom. Don't you understand? And she has a mom child, and she's a mom husband, and they are just momming and familying and just being white and wonderful and just it's fine. And they go get ice cream one day. And while they're getting ice cream, mom and son and try that one more time. Husband, father and daughter walk 10 to 20 steps ahead of Jennifer Garner. She's holding up the caboose there. She's in the back.
Yeah.
And Mexican gang members working for a drug cartel decide to open fire on this dad and his poor child.
Don't you remember why they opened fire?
I was just about to say, because the dad may or may not have agreed to possibly rob a drug dealer.
No. He turned it down.
Yeah.
He turned it down. He made the right decision, but this particular drug dealer is scummier than your average drug dealer.
Yeah. Gotcha. So, let me tell you. I know being in the West Virginia mob, you may have been a part of a lot of drive-bys. The whole thing with a drive-by, right, is you shoot into a crowd of people. It's just, there's a lot of people, you fire an automatic weapon, you kill a lot of people. That's the whole thing with drive-bys.
The only drive-bys I ever really did was sometimes I would drive through town cranking The Gambler up really loud.
Mm-hmm. I once did the gambler at Naked Karaoke at Paradise Lakes. Did you know that, Evans?
I did not know that.
Yeah, Evan Bevin. You're clearly not on my TikTok, on my Instagram.
You got me.
I was not wearing a shirt, and I sang the gambler. I want that in your mind's eye. Would you please think about that?
I'm poking out my mind's eye as we speak.
Moving on. So, there is no one at this fucking carnival, by the way. Like, there's just nobody there. They're walking by.
They were all at the rich girls' party.
That's right. They're walking. There's no one around. Like, it would have been easier if they had just gotten out of the car and shot the father dead, as opposed to this, like, drive-by method that they did, where they're just, shooting everywhere. There's 3 people, and one of them is Jennifer Garner, and she's like 100 yards back. Like, this is the dumbest thing. So anyway, the one credit I'll give to this movie, it is not an easy thing to kill a kid on camera. Yep, they do it though. They show a kid getting shot. Bravo, Lionsgate.
Oh, that's where it almost lost me the first time I watched it.
Oh, did it? Yeah, tell me about that.
I almost checked out right then. I don't know. I've gotten more callous and uncaring, but like, especially, I mean, my kids aren't super young, but especially like after my kids were born, I couldn't deal with stuff like that. Like, there was an episode of Criminal Minds, like, which I didn't even watch, but it just happened to be on in syndication, and like, this kid's mom got killed and the kid was hiding from the killer, and I was like about to leave the room. I'm like, I've watched worse stuff than this. But no, that almost took me out of it. But I watching that movie with my mom, and she's like, "Get him, Jennifer Garner." Oh yeah, she's like, "Look, it's not right, but I understand."
That's awesome. Anyway, so the Mexican gang shoot the dad, they shoot the kid, and they get Jennifer Garner, but they don't kill her. She wakes up in a hospital. A cop comes to see her and says, "Hey, your husband may have been involved in some shit here." So she does all the things she's supposed to do. She recovers from her gunshot wounds, and being shot in the head. She does the police lineup. She picks out the killers. She goes to court. She testifies.
Can I talk about the lineup for just a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
If you're going to murder families and drive-by shootings, maybe don't get face tattoos.
Or cover your face.
Yeah, well, yeah. Okay, because, like, they make the argument in court, well, she couldn't have really seen him. She was too far away. Every one of those guys had face tattoos, and they were the only guys in each lineup with face tattoos. Yeah. Like, the lawyer didn't have to do anything unethical. He can just be like, well, they made it very clear to her who the killers were. Like, they didn't have to bribe anybody or do anything unethical.
So there's a scene where the drug cartel's lawyer tries to pressure her into taking money to not testify, and she happens to have psych meds on the counter. So Risperdal is used for mood disorder, bipolar. It can also be used as an antipsychotic, but it doesn't have to be. You can just, like I said, it treats bipolar. Lithium also treats bipolar. Why she would have Risperdal and lithium is beyond me, but she does. Movie psychiatry. And there was another one that was fairly strong, and I was like, why'd they include that? Anyway, the whole point of it is like, oh no, Jennifer Garner's not a reliable witness. She has psych problems, and so between being 100 yards away, it being night, it being in a basement behind a door that says "Beware of the Leopard," and oh, by the way, she's also a nut job. They discredit her entire testimony,
and the judge is on the take.
Yes. So the district attorney does nothing when this happens while he's like badgering this witness. And then the judge, who is also on the take, like just allows it all to happen. And then it's like, oh, well, we don't have a reason to hold these people. Let them go. And then Jennifer Garner, in the most believable part of this movie, fucking lunges at these guys in court and gets tased. She is remanded to a psych facility, but oh no, she wakes up in the ambo, clocks guys in the head with a tank, and she goes on the run. And it's kind of like Batman Begins, where Batman just disappears for a few years and comes back and he's Batman. Same thing here. She goes.
but they fast forwarded through all the training montages and origins.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you don't. That's what I'm saying. Like, you don't really see how she becomes the Punisher or Batman. She just does. She comes back on the 5-year anniversary of the killing of her family. Immediately finds the guys that killed the family and strings them up on a Ferris wheel as a warning to everybody. I'm back.
Well, she killed the first one in the opening 60 seconds of the movie.
Right.
Not to pile on, but was more intense than anything that happened in Elektra.
Yeah, yes, it was. So she does that. She strings up the 3 guys. Then she goes to the judge. This is my favorite kill of the entire movie. So this motherfucker nailed this guy's hands to the desk and wrapped him in exploding rope and was like, "Do you like what's my name? Just tell me my name. Tell me my name and I'll let you live." And he's like, "I don't know." Like, for he does like the Raul Julia line from Street Fighter. Like, for me, it was only Tuesday. And she's like, "All right, sayonara." So she leaves. She blows the house up. There's an FBI agent that has been trying to find her for quite some time, and now that she's turned back up in LA and she's dropping bodies like heroin, she's like, "Hey, has anyone quite figured out yet that it might be the same person?" And the LA cops are like, "But no, it can't possibly be Jennifer Garner. She's too cute for that sort of thing." And Jennifer Garner is now this is becoming like every other revenge movie where you're trying to kill your way to the top of the food chain, to find the big boss, but you gotta pressure the lower guys first, and so that's what she does.
That takes a lot of Bevins and Jesse Starkers before you get to Radulich.
That's right. You have to disrupt a lot of strip snap games. Just so many naked men playing card games. It doesn't have to be Snap, by the way. It could also be Magic the Gathering.
I don't know. I'm glad I never learned to play.
Neither have I. And I never will. How was your podcast? And I don't know. Radulich was like, constantly bringing up card games and naked men. Really? Why? So, have you met him? Anyway, so getting through the rest of the silly plot synopsis. She eventually kills her way rather quickly, actually, as a matter of fact, to the top of the food chain. We discover that the cop that was kind of on her side is actually on the take, and he kills the FBI agent dead. And it all ends in an Avengers level fight scene where every criminal on Earth shows up to this one street, and the cops show up. Fucking Jennifer Garner gives herself up to save a kid. And the homeless of this particular alley have that worship her as a hero. Anyway, she gets into like a fist fight with the guy.
Because completely off camera, she cleaned up the neighborhood and actually was the Punisher, but we never saw her.
Yeah, there's a better movie here that wasn't actually filmed. So she gets into a fist fight with the main guy. She stalls long enough for the cops to show up. The cops then do show up. The bad guy ends up getting dead. She gets shot. And evil is punished. She wakes up in a hospital. The good detective, who you think is the bad detective, but he's really the good detective because writing, shows up at the hospital and uncuffs her. And, it is alluded to that she is going to escape from the hospital.
I'll go pepper some more mints.
Yeah. It was sequel bait. There ain't going to be no sequel to this. Maybe a remake, but no sequel. It's okay. I mean, I feel like I've watched a lot of revenge movies lately. One man who, doesn't believe in the system anymore because the system has let him down. So he's just going to kill his way to justice. I have seen a lot of these movies as of late. They're kind of all the same. The one saving grace this does have is somebody worked with Jennifer Garner, so she knew how to hold a gun, because she's got some John Bernthal shit going on. It's like, the other reason why I keep calling her the Punisher, because she's not the comic book Punisher. She's John Bernthal's Punisher.
John is my Punisher.
Yeah. So the action sequences where she's like blowing away guys, it's gritty, it's brutal. It looks like quasi-realistic, believable. I tend to shit on a lot of movies where, a woman, a 90-pound woman can beat up 250-pound men with no problem at all. Like all the women are Scarlett Johansson size, all the men are Brock Lesnar size, and they're falling down like dominoes. Hollywood. At least here,
I'm a big guy and I fall down a lot. Anyway, you were making a point.
Because your 6-year-old fucking takes you out at the knees?
Usually it's the cat, but, continue.
Okay. We'll talk later, Evan. I worry about you. I at least, like, when she, like, the assault on, like, the Pinata drug warehouse, it looked quasi-believable, and she gets an ass-kicking. Like, she's good. She's armored up, which I was impressed by that. If nothing else, there's a lot of the stuff they don't show you in this movie, and it's crap. But the one thing they do show you is her putting on armor, and like gearing up for for the fight. And I'm like, okay, you still get to see your pretty face and your wonderfully dyed hair, but at least you're wearing body armor, So kudos to that. And I guess we'll just hope that no one shoots you in the head.
Yeah.
But at least that scene was pretty good. Like I said, a lot of the stuff where she's killing guys is like the best part of the movie. Beyond that, there's not a whole lot to it. It's sad to watch her husband and her kid get shot, as it would be to see any family get shot. But once the action starts rolling, once she starts killing people, it's as basic gets in terms of, if you've ever seen one of these revenge fantasy movies before with a guy, it's literally every revenge fantasy movie you've ever seen, but it's a girl, so it's different. Evan? Yep,
that's fair. I mean, I think the saving grace of it, and again, I'm not like diehard, like Jennifer Garner can do no wrong, but I think she's good in this. I mean,
she's okay.
I think she's better than okay, but I mean,
my God, Evan, why don't you just marry Jennifer Garner then?
That's not where I'm going with this. I mean, she can give me a call if she wants to, but she doesn't. But I mean, like where in Elektra, I just thought that she just seemed kind of, kind of blank.
Yeah.
Like in this, I could, I could feel like the anger and the pain and stuff.
Yeah.
The anger and the pain and stuff. That's top level analysis. That's what you bring me in here for. I thought, she wasn't just like emotionless. She was just sort of numb. I mean, this was all she had left.
Yeah.
So I
tell you the best scene in the movie in this is actually when she's they've brought her injured and all, riddled with bullet holes, to the gravesite, and she's like, "Just let me die."
Yeah.
See, that's where you say, "Just let me die." Not when you're Indiana Jones in the past. Just saying, they're not the same. You've lost your family and you've killed everybody and you've done the good deed and you're full of bullets. Then you say, "Let me die. Just let me die."
Yeah. Yeah. Which is where Bernthal went wrong in season. Well, I mean, he didn't go wrong. That's what Frank Castle was. He was driven by revenge, not violence, not wanting to avenge his family. Anyway, neither here nor there. So I like her performance. To me, that made it. I mean, yes, it is like just about every revenge movie, and I don't care for revenge movies because it's just like, well, here's an excuse to kill a bunch of people. I liked her performance. I like to a certain extent that it didn't get like bogged down in details. Like we didn't get a 15-minute scene about how the dad and Mickey that wanted to rope him into this, how they had like grown up and they were like brothers, and how Mickey knew the drug dealer. It was just like, yeah, this is what's going to get things going. I didn't mind the 5-year jump where we didn't have Batman Begins, where she, goes to some Mr. Miyagi of vengeance and things like that. I like that some of it was simplified. But
yeah, then this one gets to the kids to the mall really quickly. It's like, why are people watching this? They want to see a broad kill people with a gun. Well, just get there then already. Let's not muck this up with nonsense.
But then there were some things that didn't make any sense. Like I don't want to watch people get murdered for fun, even if they deserve it. Can't see the air quotes on the podcast, but they were there. But of all the kills to show, why not the lawyer? Like he was the scummiest person that didn't actually pull a trigger, and we just find out that he got killed off camera. I mean, the judge was creative, it was intense, but like that's the one. Why don't you show that one? Why don't you show that guy get his comeuppance?
Can I tell you, I had like the biggest case of blue balls in one of my favorite scenes of this movie. So the beginning of the movie, and I missed what the exact thing was that set this off, but essentially you see Jennifer Garner and her kid in like a Walmart parking lot, and they're being like chased by, this Karen type mom and her kid, and it's like, don't you understand? We set up in this parking lot all the time to sell Girl Scout cookies, and you came into my parking lot and you bitch. And Jennifer Garner's like, you're terrible in every way I can conceivably think of, and go fuck yourself. And she was like, all right then, I'm going to complain about you. And she was like, you do that. So the next thing they do is they throw a party so that nobody will be at the daughter's birthday party, and she'll be lonely, and that's how they get revenge in the white suburbs.
Which is over the top and ridiculous, but it still made me sad, especially knowing what was coming.
Yeah. So fast forward to 5 years, and Jennifer Garner is on the run, and she's injured, so she needs to find a place to hide. So she shows up back at that woman's house and punches her dead in the mush. It's great. And then the next scene, you can see her with like a bloody nose and everything, and Jennifer Garner has tied her to a chair. And the final thing Jennifer Garner says is, "Now be quiet while I burn down the house with you in it." And I laughed uproariously. I was like, yes! Yeah, kill her. All right. Finally, somebody in this movie I care if you kill. And I'm like, and you're gonna do so in an awesome way. Like, that's cool, man. Like, that is a revenge. That is a suburban revenge fantasy if I've ever heard one, where you just want to just have an annoying neighbor who's awful. You're like, I'm gonna burn you and your fucking house down and get away with it because I'm crazy. And this is a movie. Cool. That's a fun thing to capture, and then they don't do it. And it's a funny.
He's not totally evil.
It's a funny line though. She's just like, "Oh, I'm not really gonna do it. Stop crying." It was like something along those lines, and I laughed at that too. But then I was also like, "Oh, I kind of wanted you to burn your house down. Why?" I'm bummed now.
Because she's not Frank Castle.
It's fair.
So I mean, I liked parts of it, but I mean, like the revenge movie is not for me. I mean, the reason I watched it basically was, how do you do a revenge movie with Jennifer Garner, who I have said repeatedly is too adorable to be a remorseless killer? So that made me curious. I mean, like a better movie, but another one that I watched, even though I don't like revenge movies, is Man on Fire. Because I'm like, well, Denzel Washington's going to do something other than just rack up a creative body count, and he did. So I mean, yeah, it's, I don't know. In some ways, I like that it was so lean. Like they didn't, fool around with like a lot of backstory or whatever. It's like, okay, he was going to do this and he didn't, and the guy killed us. I mean, other movies would stretch that into like a half hour or more. And they just got straight to the point. Now, was that point something new and different and compelling? Not so much. And yeah, you're dead on. How'd you say it? The cop that we thought was going to be bad but was good because writing. That is it. I don't understand. Like, I was sitting there, I'm like, so what? So was he on the take before, or did he just figure after what happened with her that he wasn't going to win, so he may as well, like, I'm wondering about that. And there was no explanation. It was just like, it's the other guy that's lousy. I feel like maybe there was more to that in the script, and they were just like, no, we're going to go with Jennifer Garner shooting people.
This is one of those movies that obviously no one was going to go see in the theater, but it is absolutely meant to be streamed. Like, there are certain movies now where there's nothing about them that's going to draw a crowd, nothing about them that's going to get people to pay for it. But by golly, if it shows up in a Netflix queue, like, this is a fun way to spend an hour and a half. Jennifer Garner, who's adorable, killing people with a machine gun.
That's how I watched Peppermint the first time, and if you hadn't suggested it for the third leg of the triple feature, that's how I would have watched Family Six. Eventually, I would have been like, okay, yeah, let's see what this is about.
Jennifer Garner is a great actress. Her projects she picks are not always great, clearly, but I've not seen Jennifer Garner give a bad performance. I think she elevates the material that she's given. But sometimes this is nothing you can do. It is what it is. And so Jennifer Garner's kind of great in terrible shit.
Well, and I mean, she's somebody like it feels like she's relatable for like you can identify with her.
Oh my god, she always has like the girl next door vibe.
And Family Switch, that works. Peppermint, it works because she's someone you can relate to who something awful has happened to and goes off the deep end.
Right.
Elektra is not someone you can relate to. Elektra is mysterious and violent and all this stuff, and Elektra is not the girl next door.
Yeah, Jennifer Garner is not exotic. Elektra needs exotic.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she doesn't come across as terribly mysterious.
No.
Yeah.
All right, so that is it. That is our Jennifer Garner focus here on Triple Feature for a Family Switch, Elektra, and Peppermint. Peppermint. A little higher learning for you. This was a long week. I did a lot of talking. Monday, we did our triple feature for Oscar nominees. We did Past Lives, Maestro, and The Holdovers. That was myself and Robert Winfrey. Tuesday, I got to take a bit of a backseat as Dorian Price and Matt Kettner debated the merits of Green Lantern, and I judged. Yesterday, now, Evan, you're a smart boy. You're good to your mother. You're a learned man. See if you can pick up the subtle theme of this podcast I did last night with Jason Teasley.
All right.
The Blackening, Black Christmas, and Meet the Blacks. Take a minute if you need to.
Is it the word "the"? No, wait. It's not Black Christmas. I don't know. I tell you what, I'll come up with an answer and you can make a TikTok.
Sounds great. So anyway, yes, that was yesterday. Next week, I will be at Pantera on Monday. So Alexis Hana and Jason Teasley will be looking at the new Percy Jackson show on Disney Plus. Tuesday is Damn You Hollywood. We'll be reviewing Argyle. We continue our look at Black cinema, the best kind of cinema, if you ask me, with a triple feature for What's Love Got to Do with It? I Want to Dance with Somebody and Respect. RESPCT. Find out what Evan means to me. RESPCT. Suck to me, Evan Bevins. Speaking of sock it to me, Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk is in 2 weeks. So we are prepping for that by looking back at the last two Anthony Joshua, Alexander Usyk fights. Spoiler alert, Alexander Usyk won both of those. But we're going to look at him anyway because, I can never stop talking about Alexander Usyk. That's what I have going on. Evan Bevins, show us where you pissed from.
I don't know why it always surprises me when you say that. But it does every time. Well, actually, you can.
Hang on. The funniest thing was Tuesday was because Mac doesn't know I say that or didn't know what I was referencing. So I'm like, Matt Kettner, show us where you pissed from. And he looks at Dorian. What does he want me to do?
Well, let's see. I mean, you feel like he should have done a better job of warning him.
That's going to be on my gravestone. Everyone should have been warned.
You knew what you were getting into.
That's right.
But if you want to hear me writing if you want to hear me writing, if you want to get my opinion,
I wasn't going to say anything.
If you want to get my opinions without the ums and the uhs and the course corrections mid-sentence, I do have a blog, asterisk51.blogspot.com, where in the morning you'll have my review of Peppermint for my regular hashtag Dollar Tree Cinema feature. So you won't have to listen to any of Mark's negative Nelliness about Jennifer Garner and her performance.
Fuck.
I don't know. No, but I ever since Dollar Tree started carrying movies, I started buying a lot of them, and if I don't write about them, then it's just hoarding. So I got Peppermint as a gift for my mother, and then said, "Hey, I need it back because Mark wants to talk about it on a podcast." Okay. See, this is why I write. So anyway, I will have that. You can also find other Dollar Tree Cinema entries, everything from Man of Steel to High Moon, which is a movie about a cowboy fighting werewolves. and deserves an Oscar for Best Title.
Terrific.
That's I just recently finished on the comic book side of things my read through of NFL Super Pro, the premier licensed Marvel comic NFL superhero. Also, only I use premier in that term like Alpha Flight is Canada's premier super team. They're their only super team. Shout out Chris Bailey. But so I recently went through that. I'm debating on my next series that I'm going through, but you can always find me writing about weird movies and weird comics and stuff like that.
So we'll get Evan Bevins back here soon. Before the show started, we were talking about doing some comic strips. We'll figure out some other stuff, maybe a television series, based on comics that we both want to take a look at. So Evan's not going too far from me, but if you like Evan Bevins, you can't wait for him to be on my podcast again. You must see him sooner. He plays Marvel Snap with Jesse, and they record podcasts about it.
Oh yeah, Snap material. Oh, and you don't edit like Jesse, so everybody will see that I totally forgot to plug that.
And occasionally he shows up on source material or on Unspoken Issues. Do you ever do those?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Me and Jesse each read a lot of 90s comics, and then many years later we found out that we both like to read 90s comics. So
that's right. And don't forget, if you go to the Radulich and Broadcasting Network OnlyFans, you will see Evan Bevins and Jesse Starcher playing Strip Snap.
No, you won't.
All right. I have annoyed Evan long enough. For Evan Bevins, who is good to his mother, he walks with Jesus. I'm making a lot of passive-aggressive dick jokes. Be well, be safe, and behave.